Early on, I mentioned that if you're starting to get further into the book and forgetting a few of your notes, you need to go back to page 6, page 8, and so on to review the E, F, and G, the B, C, and the D. One page we have to go back to a lot is page 15. As we get lower and lower on the guitar, the notes we learned early are really well ingrained, but the more recent ones, like the fourth string D, E, and F, aren't settled as easily, and we need more review on them. So in this sense, I don't treat the book like a math workbook where you've done the songs, you turn the page, and you never go back. Rather, this is a resource that you use forever. Keep going back and using the material that you've looked at before, review the songs, but also review the note naming, and pretend you're starting all over again at times. I've also mentioned that songs like Ode to Joy or Au Clair de la Lune could be used as we learn more positions on the neck. We could take the E, F, G and play that same song, reading the same notes, but locating them differently on the guitar into the fifth position on the second string. Every one of the songs becomes a resource in your toolkit, and I want to do something with Amazing Grace today to go back and expand your playing ability and explore a system of self-accompaniment where you're playing notes and chords in the same song. We see this in Carter picking, where Wildwood Flower is an exemplar, where you play chords and melodies at the same time. So this will be my example of how to do that. We're going to start with your smallest chords that you learned in the beginning. This little G, G7, C, 3 strings, D7, and D if you can manage it, back to G. What I want to do here then is play the melody and inject these chords into the gaps between the half notes and the quarter notes. We have 2 beats in each bar where we're not striking a new note. So we go D, G, B, B, A, G, E, D. In there where we would say beat 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, we can put a chord. If we were first starting to practice this, I may have you strum those chords for me. I'll play the notes. You'll strum this little G. A little G7. A little C. But what we're aiming for is for you to do both. So let's try that out slowly here. So it'll be D to G, strum the G chord, the 2 B notes, strum the G7, the A to the G note, strum a C chord, the E to an open D string, D to G notes, strum a G, 2 B notes, G chord, the A note to a D note. I'm already formulating a D chord. I'll hit it twice in that bar. If I can switch easily, I'm going to hit 2 D7s in this bar. B to D. That D note you can leave in when you add the G chord. B to G, G again, E to G note, C chord, E to D note, G chord, D to G, G chord, B's, a D7, the A note, and a G note, a G chord, C maybe, and a G again. So that's the system I want to work out. You've got your chords drawn here. This little green scribble can show you where we want the chord. As I was talking it through with you, I broke the rhythm. I wasn't holding to the 3-4, which I will do now, albeit quite slowly. So I've got my G chord prepared because the D, the G, and the B are all on open strings and won't ruin this chord at all. So I can go D, G, strum on 2, B, B, G7, open G and a C chord, E to a D and a G chord, D to G and a G chord, can play that with your larger chords if you like, if you can hang on to them. There at the end, I didn't strike that single G note. I included it in the G chord. Very often I'll do that with the D7 as well. Rather than hitting the chord, then the A note, I'll incorporate the A note as part of the chord. We can also embellish a little bit. One thing you notice about this song is a lot of times the voice is slurring. So for instance, between these two B notes, I could hit an open G on the 8th note. I'll play it through now with perhaps some embellishments. We can incorporate that into a lot of songs in G if you like, and we'll see how things go later on. Thanks again, guys. Talk to you later.